Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Very exciting day today. Um, if it, if you don't know already, um, we've been for quite a while. I've been planning this couple months here, and yes, Chad, I know what you're about to do. Um, I've wanted to do this for a while, actually. And a number of you actually know about this, obviously, because you're in the Discord, you're ready to go, everything's set up. So, without further ado, I suppose here's the first lesson of the JavaScript class that I've promised. So, um, the main idea here is that I want to teach you guys how to program in JavaScript. And no prior experience whatsoever is required if you're new here and you have no idea what's going on or anything. So if you're new to this stream, because I see a few people I don't recognize, potentially you're new that don't show up normally but know about the class, potentially you're from Twitch, either way, welcome. Um, so feel free to follow along. This is the first lesson, so you have not missed anything yet. So today we're actually not going to do any coding, but if you are, and well, maybe we will. It really depends. Thank you, Jolteon. I am hyped too. I'm excited, honestly, and a bit nervous. Um, we may get into a bit of programming today. I'm not sure, but we need to go over a number of core concepts first. Otherwise, you're not going to do very well with it. I want you guys to be able to do it and do it well. I want to teach you guys right, so that starts with laying a foundation first, and that's what we're here to do today. So, let me go ahead and just hop right into my document, which I have scrolled down. So, I have this document which is accessible in chat via a command I don't remember. Let me check that. Um, right, the class command. There you go. So you can follow along with that if you want. But the idea here is so pretty simple. The whole concept behind this is a number of people are confused how programming works, especially from Showdown, and are interested in contributing to PS development, but are either don't know how to code, are confused about the whole thing, are too nervous about it, or whatever. But yeah, so that's where I'm trying to teach what I'm trying to teach you guys. I'll teach you guys JavaScript, I'll teach you guys how to work on an open source project using Showdown. Stopping by to say hello and is a nerd. Good luck on the stream. Thanks, Scott. Yep, that's probably a good idea, Jolteonite. I'd highly suggest using a PC or computer for this, especially if you're going to follow along with code. Alright, so goals here is teach students ES 2018 JavaScript, and that basically is the version of JavaScript introduced in 2018, so a year ago. And mention ES 2019 JavaScript with the caveat that Showdown's minimum node version does not support all of 2019. Of course, that doesn't make much sense to you guys right now, I'm sure, but more or less, we're using for running our JavaScript, we're using a thing called NodeJS, which is usually used for servers. So this is not browser JavaScript we're working with. Some of the stuff you'll be working with here won't work in older browsers, but that's okay. I think a lot of basically anything up to date, like an update version of Google Chrome, can run most of the stuff we're working with. Um, but yeah, so however, the version of Git we're using doesn't support all ES 2019 because it's not all implemented yet. It's just too soon. We don't plan to cover absolutely everything in JavaScript that exists because that would take forever, and I don't know absolutely everything. I'm still, even after all these years, you still learn things sometimes. Obviously, we're using Node.js 12.6. We're using Node.js as an engine for specifically 12.6.0. If you're in the Discord, there is a link to download that if you have not. Thank you, Shads. Let me link the Discord. So if you're not in there and are interested, feel free to poke me or a stream mod for the student role, and you can get all access to all the channels. If you are watching as a student and do not have a Twitch account, you can also comment in the student general channel or just general if you're not sure about committing, and we'll try to keep an eye on those channels to answer your questions for you. By we, Fart is also here. He is going to be helping me out with handling questions and other things like that.
Hello, I'm here to help out.
um, Work also includes teaching students core concepts of programming, which have nothing to do with JS's syntax, but rather relate to more how a computer thinks compared to a human, which should help them write code. Very, very critical. I cannot stress that enough because computers and humans do not think the same way. It's really that simple. So you got to be able to understand how a computer thinks to be able to understand how to write code, really. Also teach students about designing and debugging a script program rather than just JavaScript syntax, because that's also very critical. Both of those will carry on into any other languages you may choose to learn in the future. So this will help you overall if you're new to programming. If you already know a language and you like have it, I'd say mastered, but not perfect, but doing really well with it, you practice it a lot, then some of this will probably be a bore to you for a while, but it's important to cover for the newer students. So bear with me. Um, Second part, this one may be new to you, even if you have prior experience. Teach students to contribute to an existing open source project. An open source project is a project where anyone can contribute to it, anyone can use the code. It's usually under an open source license allowing redistribution, modification, etc. For example, PS is under the MIT license, at least the server, which means you could do basically whatever the heck you want for it, but we're not liable if you do something stupid and destroy your computer or something. um, yeah, so let's see. Hello, Rainius Gaming. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. I'm sorry. Raxnius Gaming. Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to pronounce that later. um, yep, this concept will be taught through Pokemon Showdown, which should also garner interest in what they are working on because it's where the site where most of the students will come from or come to the stream to watch. If you are from Twitch, just browsing the page or whatever to get here, I usually program for Showdown, and that's where most of my viewers come from, so that's why I picked this project to work on. Um, we are also going to include contributing to the server. Contributions will be in the form of bug fixes and features to be submitted to the main server for actual use. In other words, some of the stuff you will code will actually go on the main server and be used by the tens of thousands of people who use Showdown every day. So that's exciting. And don't worry, don't fret about that. We will be code reviewing stuff and we will not take subpar code. So if it gets merged and something does break, you can't just have the blame all on your shoulders. The blame goes on the people who code reviewed it too because they didn't catch it either. And sometimes it happens, so don't worry too much. How do I join the class? Yeah, you'll want to join the Discord and then ask for the student role and role request. And I believe Fart or someone should get to you
On
soon.
it. Did it.
Okay, great. Jolt, do you want it too? Because I see you joined. Yes, I see someone else is about to join. Yes, Sacred Latias. Always a joy to have them here. Um, so yeah, and potentially creations only for use privately, in other words, on a side server or a personal server. So yeah, teaching you this would also teach you how to set up your own personal server to muck around on. And when you have your own personal thing, you have a lot more freedom to do whatever you want. So you could code something really wacky and interesting if you wanted to. That's just an option. That's honestly what I did to learn a lot of my JavaScript stuff and hone my skills for a while. So I recommend it at least for a time, though don't expect to go much of anywhere with a side server. They usually don't get very big. Anyways, this whole process will involve learning how to use Git, which is a version control software, which is used to basically keep track of who made what change and what the server's like, code is like, etc. GitHub, which is a site that basically stores all this info, as well as learning about collaborative process such as code review, which I mentioned, where it's basically another developer looks at your code and makes comments on it. Of course, I'm not going to go into detail on that now. And teach interactively using a Twitch stream. Hey, that's where we are now. So students can follow along with me and ask questions in real time. So feel free to ask questions anytime. No, Shads, they can poke me anytime. You could poke me now. You could poke me whatever. I am watching the chat along with Fart, and feel free to interrupt me if there's something important, Fart. Um, so yeah, that's why we have the AMA tag here. I'm open for questions anytime. So that's the primary list of goals. So there's a giant syllabus, which I'm not going to go into detail, but it's pretty long. It looks long at least, but Each section might not be too long. Some sections, like one sentence, could be a half-hour lecture. One sentence could be a 2-second thing. It depends on what exactly it is. A few things that I need to fill out, projects for you guys to do. The schedule for the streams, these streams, guys. We will update it as we get closer to each lesson because things happen in life. My life, your lives, etc. Like if only 2 people can show up to a stream, I'll probably delay it. But yeah. We're generally going to target from 6 to 8 p.m. EDT daily. It is 6:11 p.m. EDT now. If we can go, if there's enough people around to go a little later, then great. If not, oh well. If you cannot make a stream, that's fine. Please watch the video after the stream, which there will be a Twitch video here, and I will probably somewhere between 24 and 72 hours later. It has to be, I have to wait at least 24 hours because I'm a Twitch affiliate and I have a terms of service I've agreed to as a result. Upload these to YouTube so they're permanent because Twitch videos will only last for 14 days, but they will be up before they expire. And the link for the YouTube will be updated then. If you cannot make a stream, please watch the video afterwards. And feel free to ask me questions in the Discord, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Alright, let's see. Alright, yeah, obviously the first one's today. Tomorrow we might do one at the same time. We'll see. And we'll see what it's on. Expectations, pretty simple. I expect you to make an effort to learn alongside of us, really. In other words, I don't want you to like just go in and use and take the projects and Google your answers and not learn anything. Like obviously you'll use Google here, it's programming, you use Google, but um, kind of like I don't know, cheating on tests or whatever. Don't do that. We don't have tests here. Don't worry. I don't plan to do tests. This is something that I expect if you want to learn it. The only thing you lose from cheating or anything is you lose actually learning something because you're not getting a grade out of this. You're not getting credits for college or nothing. Like I'm not getting anything either. The only thing I'd get is if someone cheers or subs to me. And I don't expect that either. So, yep. Um, so yeah, I do not expect this to be a smooth road as programming can be complicated and confusing. Trust me, it happens. It's not always going to be smooth sailing, but I'm here to help you. I'll do my best to do that or get someone who can help you if I don't know how. However, I do expect you to put the effort in to learn and practice JS. Please attend the streams / watch the videos, ask questions when you don't understand or are curious about something. Work on projects provided and PS bugs / features listed in resources. Or well, that would be help wanted actually. I'll fix that. Again, please ask for help if you need it rather than struggling alone. Simple enough. And last thing is the list. So that should cover the basic class structure. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here in a moment. But first, does anyone have a question of any kind right now? I will check Discord real quick and keep an eye on that too. Me and Fart would be happy to answer anything. Okay, let me make sure nobody's typing in either the general chats. I don't see anything. No questions. Okay. Okay, great. In that case, let me go ahead and let's get started here. So, throughout this whole course, a few things we'll do. I'm going to explain what high quality code versus bad code is in each instance. In other words, I don't want you writing really bad code, bad practices. Avoid those. And I'll push for readability. It mostly is readability things rather than specific performance or preferences of Showdown. I might point out my preferences or whatever, but yeah. Dry, aka don't repeat yourself. You'll be hearing me talk about that. And chances contribute to Showdown will be listed quite a few times. But anyways, we're going to hop into our first thing here today, which is computer programming basics. So this is not so much writing code. This section is more me talking about, I guess, the theory of it, which kind of sounds stupid and college professory, but I don't know how else to phrase it. Um, the idea here is we're going to teach you how to think about it, really. So, first thing is what I already mentioned earlier, how a computer thinks versus how a computer thinks. Computers follow an set of extremely detailed instructions to the letter. So I'll give you a good example of that. Well, I'll give you an example in a second. I want to elaborate on that first. So with a computer, you give them a list of instructions. In other words, your program file, your JavaScript file. This list of instructions has to explain everything in great detail for how it's going to work. Um, and unlike a human, like with a human, if you, for example, go say, Fart, go do the dishes, but it's the first time Fart's ever done the dishes in his life, he doesn't know how. You teach him, okay, he does an okay job, and as he does them more and more and asks questions and learns, he gets better at it, and eventually you could just say, Fart, go do the dishes, and he does them well and quickly and whatnot, and you don't have to explain it to him or anything. He just knows. With a computer, not so much. If you took away that instruction file, the computer doesn't know what to do. It's like the first time Fart does dishes every time. It has to be told explicitly every time. It doesn't learn. I know there's like whatever learning AIs or computers that supposedly learn or whatever. They just store data and use instructions to parse that. I'm pretty sure. I don't know the details, but nothing we will work with is going to be like a learning AI. So don't assume a computer is going to understand something after you've made it run it 3 times and forever do it the same way or something. If you change the instructions, it'll follow those to the letter and forget the old ones completely. Define do dishes, dishes that each dot clean end. Thank you for that. I think Python.
Ruby.
All right,
Vague
close
Ruby,
enough.
because it's not a real thing, but
Fair, fair.
dishes isn't defined
Well,
or
yeah.
clean.
Well, yeah, it's an example. So an example I want to give on this is how detailed you have to be on this. So you may think, okay, so I have to be somewhat detailed. Well, here's a good example of how detailed you have to be, something that has happened in my life that I remember and can apply to this. So many years ago, um, I think I was like, what, 7 or something? I don't know, I was young. My mother was trying to teach me how to do descriptive writing, like one of those writing assignments where you have to be very detailed on and describe a short event in extreme detail. So, um, we decided, okay, you're gonna make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. How do you do that in extreme detail? So we go through it, and you have to get all the stuff out and whatnot. And like at that point, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, so I'm just trying to push through it because I don't feel like it. And get up to the part where you need to open the jar and take out, the knife and use it to put the peanut butter on the bread or whatever. And so it's, mom's holding the jar, and then I say, okay, what next? And I say, put the knife in the jar. And the lid's still on. He just takes a knife and slams it through the lid. And it literally just breaks this plastic screw on lid. It's just smash right through it. And yeah. So, and it says, what next? And I'm like, that's wrong, but that's what you told me to do. You didn't tell me to take the lid off first. That's how a computer will think. If you're trying to replace my mother with a robot there and you replace yourself as a programmer giving the computer instructions. If you do not tell the robot to take the lid off first, it is just going to stick the knife through the lid. So you have to be very detailed. And you have to think about a lot of different cases as well. Like another example I can give for various things you have to think about when writing and handling all cases in a situation is a showdown command. Okay, so let's say you have a really simple command, I don't know, mute user, and let's not even bother with reason. It mutes user for 7 minutes. And all you can do is provide a username. Okay, well, what if what if the username was all lowercase, but I typed it in all caps? Does my code handle that? Because if it doesn't, it's not going to work. What if I type it in like this? I'm typing in chat, one sec. Something like that. You know, how it's all weird and that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, if I don't handle that appropriately, it's not going to work. And Then you also have to handle other cases. What if the user doesn't exist? What if they type out the name? And all sorts of things like that. You have to handle a lot of different cases in programming. So I don't want to overwhelm you with that, but you do have to think about a lot of different things when doing it, and that's where the why you shouldn't interrupt a programmer joke comes from. I'm just going to link that in here because that's good. That is a good joke. Where is this link? There it is. Yeah, good comic. Anyways, um, yeah, once you start realizing that you have to think about a lot of different things even when doing something simple, that's one of the things people struggle with. So it'll take some getting used to, but I'll help you through it. I don't have any specific things that may help you. Maybe Pre or someone might. But yeah, next up, how to write a script. But actually, first, anyone have any questions on what I just talked about? I'll give you guys a minute. I don't see anything, so I'm assuming nobody has a question then? Alright, that's good. Kind of, maybe. As long as you're actually getting it. Alright. Double check. Nope, nothing. Alright. If you are still typing up a question, feel free to finish. I will come back to you. So, next up, how to write a script. This isn't so much the syntax and whatnot. This is the logical process of it because you do not. It's going to take a long while before you know all the syntax and things you can do with JavaScript. There's billions of ways to do things. Okay, maybe billions is an over exaggeration for one specific thing, but there's many different ways you could do something. Um, but yeah, how to write a script. So your first step is to determine what your goal, what do you want to achieve or do. So obviously you need to know what you want to do before you could try to do it. At least I'd hope you know that. So in the example of the mute command, okay, so we want to stop a user from talking for 7 minutes. Okay, that's our goal. That's what we want to achieve. Do good. Um, Reload. Okay, yeah, I'm glad you think you're getting it. If you have any questions, feel free. Anything you're unsure about, I'd be happy to answer it. Digital Heart Princess. Um,
Ignore me.
Ignore you. You're reloading your bot that's running on your thing. Um, Ignore fart coding in chat.
Well, I was trying to demonstrate what you said earlier. If you put the name in all lowercase, but their name's in uppercase, I was trying to show that they're not considered the same by the computer.
Well, yeah, they don't understand that syntax yet, so I wouldn't push that too much. We'll get to syntax and comparisons in, I think, a couple days, maybe less. Heck, maybe tomorrow if we're moving really fast. We'll see. But step 2 here is design the script, and to do this, you need to break down what you need to do into individual tasks/steps. So let's take the mute command. So the end goal is for a staff member to be able to mute a user for 7 minutes. So breaking this into steps, I can think we need a permission check to make sure that only staff use this because it would be a nightmare if everyone on the server could mute each other and it would just go into anarchy within 2 minutes. I mean, it's 7 minute mutes. It's not bans, but geez Louise. Um, then we need to make sure that the target of the mute, in other words, the person we're trying to mute, is valid. The person exists. The person isn't already muted, etc. Those are the two things I can think of. So I'd break it into that stuff. Make sure the user exists, and that they can be muted currently, and that would mean they don't have a higher punishment or whatever. And I'm not going to go into the detail of actually doing it. And then another step after that would be actually doing the mute. Then the next step would be notifying the appropriate paces, putting something in mod log, putting something in chat, messaging the mute, and sending the user who got muted a pop-up notifying you then that they've been muted for 7 minutes. And I believe that's the end of the command at that point. Yep, that's the end of the command at that point. So those are the, was that 3 or 4 steps? Permission check, validate the users there. Yeah, 4 steps. Do the mute, and then clean up afterwards, send the notifications. And that would also do things like update the user list and whatnot. I got a ping. Who pinged me? Oh, it's something upper staff. I'm going to ignore that for now. Yes, that's also part of the permission check, actually, but that's a good point. In the permission check should handle that you are not muting someone that is at an equal or higher rank. In other words, a driver cannot mute a driver, mod, bot, room owner, leader, or admin. I was mostly just not thinking of that because the permission check, there's a um, thing, I guess it's called a function, but you guys don't know what the heck that is right now. And good job, Fart.
I was I was trying to send that to my own channel so that it didn't disrupt yours. I didn't realize I was going to do that.
Bastiodon. Okay,
I'm
you're
very
just
sorry.
randomly putting Bastiodon in the chat.
I'm very sorry.
But yeah, the main reason is because it's one simple call that handles all of that. That's why I only thought one. But that is a very good point, Jolteonite, and you should think like that. That's very good. Um, so yes, so that's good. Step 3 is actually program it, turn it into code. So take each individual step. I'm not going to go into details of how exactly this is done because you guys wouldn't understand it yet. But more or less, you turn those thoughts and you turn it into syntax. So you start with step 1 and we go, okay, so we have our command wrapper set up. Okay, so the first thing we do is permission check. And then we say, what rank is the minimum rank for muting? Okay, it's driver. So we make sure if the user is a driver and the user is, and the target that we're trying to mute um, is, not at an equal higher rank. And then even during this, you may come across something like I just came across a thought here as well. Like I said, you make sure the user that you're trying to mute, you check the user during this permission check. Well, what if the user doesn't exist like we said we'd check in the next step? That's a little bit of a logical error, isn't it? So that would mean we need to go back and fix what we did in step 2. We need to edit our design a little. And that can happen when you're programming. We are all human and we're going to screw up. And like you guys watch me code, you see me screw up time and time again. So that's just pretty normal. Don't get too hard on yourself if it happens. So like in this case, what I would do here is I say, okay, we need to check that the user exists before we do the permission check, as an example. I think the permission check on Showdown at least would actually be able to handle this appropriately, but even if it doesn't exist, but we're going to assume it can't here. So we'd go back and we'd switch step 2 and 1, and then we'd say, okay, we need to start by checking to make sure the user exists. And we can move the is the user muted check till after the permission check, so the user, if they're not a staff member, does get access denied instead of the user's already muted message. It's not too big of a deal though. So like make sure the user exists, then we make sure you can mute this user. Then that also includes, then you check to make sure they're not already muted and give a separate error message. The first one's just a ranking permission based check. And then you go, at that point, you have everything you need, so you issue the mute, and then you send your notification. So let's say you have all that coded out. You head to step 4. Let me check for questions. I speak Node fluently, but decided to say hi. Hi, UOP. Welcome to the stream. If you want to help answer questions or whatever, feel free to stick around. But yeah, script test 4. Ooh, excuse me. Test step 4. Excuse me. All right. Is testing your code. Make sure it works properly. So there's a number of ways something could go wrong. And trust me, things are going to usually go wrong the first time. If I write something of a decent size and it works perfectly the first time, that's basically a miracle. So yeah. This is why it's an important test step, along with the fact that even if it was common for things to work properly the first time, you want to catch those times it doesn't. So test your code, make sure it works properly. So there's a few things that could happen. It could fail to run. So there's two types of crashes, as you would call them, based on what you've seen from PS. At least in general, there's many different types of crashes, but I'm talking in general here. Um, an error that happens when you're trying to load the JavaScript, usually a syntax error. In other words, your code is invalid and the computer doesn't understand what you're trying to tell it to do. I don't know, you typoed a variable name or something. Um, that usually would crash when you try to load your program. A error that occurs during runtime, when this crash occurs when you try to run the code specifically. So it would only crash when someone uses mute in this example. Or a logical error. This one is not so much a crash. This is like if muting unmuted people, or if it muted for 90 days instead of an hour. Or instead of an hour, it muted for 60 days because you set it to days instead of minutes or something. Or like a week or whatever. We said it was a 7 minutes, so let's say it was for a week instead. Um, Stream going well. It's just falling. It's just failing the first time is an understatement. Um, Failing the first time is an understatement. Well, yeah, just the first time. You'll probably things probably won't work many times. Like if any of you watched me do SSB with Anubis or help ticket stats, we have 10 plus hours into those. A lot of it was debugging and testing, and debugging is part 5. So now you've identified your issue. Now you have to fix your issue. So if you found no issues in step 4, well, you're kind of done. But let's assume you found issues because usually you are. Step 5, if I can get my tab up, is debugging your code. Fix it if it doesn't work, which I forgot to type the word work, which is pretty often use Google in all caps. I will explain what I mean by use Google in just a moment. But the idea is fix it if it doesn't work. So usually you'll encounter your boot up errors first, syntax, whatever. Then you'll encounter your runtime errors second. I know it's not so much a compile runtime setup like Java, if anyone here knows about what I'm talking about, but I'm just using that terminology here because it makes sense. Um, and your logical errors will be caught last when you do the actual testing and see, oh, this isn't working properly. And you'll want to use a bunch of test cases. You won't just want to say, mute this, okay, it worked, done. You'll want to like put multiple things in. What if okay, so let's put it, you'd want to do multiple test cases. Like let's say, okay, I'm going to start by doing a case where it should work. Okay, it works. What about a case where it should not because I'm trying to mute someone who's already muted? Oh, that worked too, that's wrong. Okay, what about a situation where I try to mute someone who's an equal or higher rank than me? That fails. Good, that's working properly then. And what if I try to put their username in all crazy like I typed earlier? Okay, that still works because we turned it into an ID or whatever, which I'll explain later again. Great. So, yeah, multiple test cases. Try to figure out, okay, what things do I want to make sure works, and then test it in that way. So, once you debug, make your fixes, and then test again. Go back to step 4. Do it again. If it's bad enough and there's something bad enough that you need to redesign your script, go back to step 2. You know, stuff happens. Sometimes it's just like, okay, this doesn't make sense. We need to completely change the design as a result. That will sometimes happen, and it's unfortunate, but, you know, that's what happens. Um, but yeah, that's the general idea of writing a script. And once you've got your script working properly, everything works properly, great. You wrote a script. It works. You've written a program that performs a task and successfully completes it. Whether that's something as small as calculating the area of a square or something as large as a Pokemon battle simulator, it's done. And yeah, so you can break large tasks down. Obviously, the biggest task, like running an entire Pokemon sim, you would have to break something as big as that down into really small chunks and then apply the 5 steps in to each part. So like, let's code the move explosion, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, done. And loop back as necessary. Not code the entire sim all at once. Like, you'd be all over the place. That just does not work on larger things. So, manage your scope, basically. I also said use Google. That is your best friend. If you have been on the Discord, let's see, there's a role request. Yes, you can have stream notifications. If you're new to the Discord and you do want the roles, feel free to post for them. Um, it's student and stream notifications if you want to be notified. I will be pinging student for all of these specific streams along with stream notifications. So continuing. Where was I? Right, Google. If you have the student role, you should see a resources channel, and the first thing I posted in there is a video that's like a minute long, and I suppose I could show it on stream here if I get it up. Yeah, why not? Let me get it. But more or less, it's the idea that no, programming is not what you expect it to be. At least if you've watched Hollywood videos. I don't think anyone here actually gets that. It's going to play an annoying ad first. 2, 1. But yeah. So, like, if you're seeing this, it's obviously this is what Hollywood thinks programming is. Not realistic at all. And this is more real programming. He compiles this thing because he's using C# or something. It fails. It just crashed because you can't see it clearly. And now he's Googling the issue. Hadoop input path does not exist. Searches, and he's going to look at them. Simple enough. But yeah, that's a comparison between what actually happens and what people may think happens. So manage your expectations if you thought the former. We are not fancy flashing light button pushing people. I swear. Anyways, how can you code on like 2 keyboards at once? You don't have the concentration power for that as a person. Anyways, enough of me rambling about that. But more or less the Google part is what I wanted to mention. So he ran into an error that he did not understand is basically what he's talking about. So like, let's say you wrote your mute command and you got syntax error, I don't know, making something up. User is not defined or something. And you're like, I have no idea what this means. So you might Google that up. I thought I got a rainbow keyboard for completing the course. Scrimble, can I have my laptop keyboard when I turn on the backlight, just make it flash rainbow colors? That would be cool. I don't have that either, man. So, um, but yeah. If you did not understand that, you might Google up, I don't know, JavaScript syntax error, user is not defined. Now, obviously, user refer would not be exactly part of the error message from my experience, but or at least every error message. But if you look that up, you might get information on not defined on something like Stack Overflow, and you'd be able to read about it and learn about it and potentially fix the problem, which should help you quite a bit there because that'll at least tell you about your issue. Now, sometimes that doesn't work ideally because you're like, okay, they're talking in basically Greek. I don't understand all their terminology. Well, then Google up their terminology or ask someone who knows better because sometimes that's just the best thing you can do. Sometimes it's just best to sit down with someone who understands this and can translate it into terms you understand better. And that's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm here to help you with those kinds of things. So, yeah, Google is going to be your best friend when programming and you don't understand something. It's not really going to be able to help you with like, what does user mean in a command on Pokemon Showdown? Probably not. It's more for general programming things like How do I split a string into an array? Which obviously you guys don't know what I'm talking about yet, but
How do
that's,
I get rid of the first character of a string?
yeah,
I
that's
have to
simple.
Google that all the time.
Um, string dot
I,
substring o, no, string dot
well, because
substring
there's
slice 1.
substring and that, well, there's substring, but then there's also sub str, which is different.
Well, yeah, I just use slice 1. String equals string dot slice 1. That
All
literally
right.
just cuts off the first character. But yeah, anyways, enough of me rambling to fart in languages you do not understand. Let me make sure that's the end of that section. Yes. Does anyone have questions? Because we're about to actually touch our editors here. This is the most important part of the whole course, in all honesty. So please, if you have any questions, concerns, if you're curious about something, ask. I am happy to answer anything. Or, as long as you're not trolling me. But I'm sure you guys will be fine. You guys are well behaved usually. I just got a question. What can I do? I missed everything Hoenn talked about before this in his stream. Sorry, Anubis. There will be a video recap, but there's way too much for me to recap right now. When doing step 2, would it be smart to write down the steps in order in a separate document so you know what you need to code? That is not a bad idea at all, Digital Heart Princess. On bigger designs, it's not uncommon to have a design document or something like that that will lay out your design so you know what you're doing, so you don't have to have it all stored in your head. On small, little, tiny things, you could get away with that, but that's a very smart thing to do, yes. Does anyone else have any questions? Like I have this, like if you want a great example, this big document you see on the screen, that's a design document for the class. I didn't store it all in my brain for the past month. Not, um, I'm not able to recall that much information as quickly as possible and as cleanly, like most humans. Um, see, I don't see anything coming in, so I'm gonna assume we're mostly okay here. If you do have questions, please do not hesitate to post. I will stop and answer them. So, anyways, continuing on, creating JavaScript files and using the command line to run them with Node.js. So, we're going to do what's called a hello world example here, which is basically as simple as getting the computer to say hello world in whatever language, in this case JavaScript with Node.js. So yes, we're actually going to code. So we're going to use the code editor, and I'm also going to explain a short thing about Node.js versus your internet browser because both run JavaScript. So first things first, I'm going to ask you guys to open your code editor. So this is Visual Studio Code, for example. I have all these folders on the side because I have a workspace set up, but you might just have this and no files on the side, and the bar would probably be purple. Um, and look different because you're not logged in with live share or whatever because you don't have that set up. I don't have that as a requirement right now. But yeah, it should look something like this. So what you'll want to do pretty simply is, I'll give you guys a sec. Yep, Visual Studio 2019, that should work. Any sort of editor, you may not have Visual Studio, you might just be using a Notepad or something, even though I don't recommend that. You might be using Atom, Notepad++, something else, as long as you have your editor up. Simple enough, go ahead and open a new file with Visual Studio. It's File, New File, the shortcut is Control N. Should create a new file for you. Um, and we'll want to save that file somewhere, obviously, as a JS file, but we'll do that after we write a bit in it. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to do this time, and it's literally one line of code, both brackets and Atom, but I'll be using VS19. That sounds fine, Rainicious Gaming, whatever you want to use. I'm not exactly a super expert in all details of Visual Studio Code, so yeah. But yeah, I'm going to explain this really simply to you guys. So just do exactly what I do. Type the word console, then a dot, then log, open parenthesis, then a single quote, hello, space, world, another single quote, and then go to the end of the line. Like Visual Studio automatically puts in a closing parenthesis for me. If it doesn't for you, do that yourself, and semicolon. So it should look, and you can do a new line if you want. I like to do that, but it's not necessary. So it should quite literally be, and I think, nope, this. Don't copy paste that, please. I don't know if Twitch formatting is going to mess with it and put in a weird quotation mark or something JS won't recognize, which is another reason in my requirements to say do not code using Microsoft Word, because they do that with double quotes. But yeah, I'll give you guys about a minute to do that.
Can I use Google Docs?
Oh my gosh, do I need to explain this to you? Please use a code editor. um, but yeah, is anyone still doing it? Still running behind? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure how quickly you guys will manage to do this one. Um, I will keep an eye on Discord, etc. for this. Give you guys. Can't find my clock. Oh, there it is. I'll give you guys like 30 seconds. And if anyone's running behind at that point, please do post. Anubis, wait, I need to install Visual Studio first. Okay, that's gonna take a while. Don't think I'll wait for that because I did ping people like 80 times today to do stuff. And yeah, you can use Notepad for now. I highly suggest installing Visual Studio later, though. I don't think we're gonna get into anything super deep today. I highly doubt it, actually. Um, that might be tricky then. Sorry about that, Anubis. Okay, looks like it's been about 30 seconds. Is anyone still running behind other than Anubis? I will continue on, but please do see what you could do, Anubis. I'm not going to go too far because it seems like we're all ready to go. Yep. Okay. So next, simple enough. We got a file. We got to actually, save it. So you'll want to go into Control and then Save. And it's not showing it on my thing, but it'll open up your usual, Save As window. And you'll want to select a place to save it. I'm going to save it to my PSJS class folder. You guys can save it wherever. Give it a name. I'm going to call it Hello World. And save as type, set that as JavaScript. So I think I can add a source here real quick to my stream. That will let you guys see this. Let's see, display capture. Let's just do that, add source. Whoa! Don't do that. Oh, that's in a window capture. Where's my remove button? Just add JS to the file name, right? I think that will work, yes. For me, I just did hello world and I set save type as. I selected the wrong source. My apologies. Let me add a window capture, which should add a new source. Add, and it should be, and it's going to just do that whole thing. Okay, yeah, there it goes. Now it's going to show up. So we'll just have this up for just a moment here. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Just JavaScript or JavaScript React. JavaScript, I'm not exactly sure what they mean by JavaScript React, honestly. That's something I'd have to Google up. Just like with everything else in life, it gives you a lot of
It's a
answers.
JavaScript library that helps build user interfaces.
On browsers, yeah. I ended
Yeah.
up using Atom because I couldn't figure out how to get that to that point in VS. Do you mean you couldn't figure out how to open a file or what? Or make a new file or save? Because for me, let me move this over. Come on, I unlocked you move. For me, like it's literally, oh, you created a new project in VS Code. I just went file new. I didn't bother making a workspace or a project or anything here. You don't need a workspace folder. I usually don't even do new project or anything in VS Code. I don't even know what the heck that does actually. So yeah. But I'm just using simple things. I'll probably look into a new project later maybe. But that's simple enough. That's how we save this. So let's go ahead and save. And let me get rid of this window capture now. Okay. And as you can see, it changed color because it's now recognized as a JavaScript file. That's just VS Code's helpful syntax highlighting. So that's nice. But yeah, it's now saved as a JavaScript file. And as you can see, it all showed up on my sidebar because I have that folder added to my thing. I will teach you guys how to do that in a little bit if you want. But first, let's actually run this file. So let me actually do this from base so you guys know exactly what to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to teach you guys how to run this file. So obviously this is an extremely simple file, but you still need to know how to run it. So I'm going to pull up my terminal. If you guys don't know how to open a terminal, this is actually the Git Bash terminal, and during my installation I selected an option that works better with Node.js. If you just went with all the defaults when installing Git, or don't have Git installed, or because you don't need Git right now at all, or whatever, you can always just open a standard command prompt, which is just on Windows that would be CMD, on Mac that would be called terminal, and I think for Linux it's the same thing, terminal. Not sure. But yeah, it should take you. The Git bash seems to on Windows 10 like to take you to the absolute root folder. Okay, then I'd open a plain terminal, command terminal. Just if you type into the search bar CMD, it should have that pop up. I can open one of those too myself actually. Let me tweak my window capture to target that. Missed a few minutes, came back to something I need. Great timing. Yeah, that can happen. Let me see here. Where is my... Oh, that's not what I want you to target. I want you to target... I want you to target this bash. Oh man, come on. Now you're just being annoying. Okay, already done. Properties. Oh, this thing's just being annoying, so I'm going to remove that and add a new one. Um, that's not what I want. Minty command, yep. Okay. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna hide my other one and I'll use this one to give you guys an example who don't know it. Um, yeah, Super Mario fan is to open a code editor, preferably Visual Studio Code or a text editor like Notepad, and type in console.log hello world. You forgot the semicolon. Fart. Then save it as test.js or whatever you want. You could do whatever.js, any name you want really. I called it hello world.js. But yeah, I'm going to use the standard command prompt for this one. I prefer the other one generally because it's nice for Git, but we're not working with Git today, so it really doesn't matter in all honesty. Let me lock this into position. Did main.js this? That's fine. It's not going to crash if you miss a semicolon, but that's good quality. We're not getting into that so much yet. I will, however, tell you to please do it because it's good practice. Okay, so
Ruby doesn't use them.
well, too bad this is JavaScript and we do. But yeah, so you should have something like this. You know, this is Windows for obvious reasons. I said that in my instructor setups, but you may have something different. But at least for Windows, you're going to start in your user folder. If you saved it on a normal Windows computer, it'll probably be somewhere in your documents folder, maybe your desktop or whatever. But you need to know the path to that file to actually be able to run it. So, for example, for me, space cactus, I don't think a semicolon matters. It's the last semicolon in the document. Um, yeah, it does. It usually won't matter. Yeah, I don't think. But it's good practice. Yeah, the best part is Hoenn bursting your excuse me. You only need semicolons in certain circumstances because JS is evil. Um, yeah, it's weird sometimes, but that's one of the quirks of the language. Um, you'll need to know the file path to the file you want to run. So let's find where that is. I mean, you could do that, but I want to teach you how to like get into CD to the file itself. I don't. Does that just like actually run it? I don't even know what that does. But I want to teach you how to like actually CD. So like when you're actually trying to run a Showdown server or whatever, you can actually do that. Or whatever custom thing you code. So that's why I want to do it this way. But that is, if it worked, I suppose, a valid way to run a single file program. Or maybe multi-file if it works. I don't know. But I'm going to teach you a command called cd, which basically sends you to another location on your computer. So right now you're in your user folders, assuming you're using Windows. If you're on um, Mac, I don't remember where you are. Cd change directory. That's what it is. So you're in the user folder. So we need to get to where it is. For me, I saved it in a folder called PSJS class. Okay, well, that's not very helpful. Where exactly is that in relation to the user folder for me? I saved it and that folder is inside one called projects, which is inside my documents folder, which is my base document folder, which is going to be inside my users folder. So with Windows, your desktop, everything is going to be inside your user folder, just the next thing in. So for example, the next thing is documents. So I do cd documents. Now I'm in my documents folder. So obviously it's not the right file yet, but that's something. I can also jump multiple files at once. Projects is the next step for me, if I can spell. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. And it's also in PSJS class. So like you see the slash there. The slash means another directory, so I cd'd into another folder. So as you can see, my command line says I'm currently in C users ho and documents projects psjs dash class. In Linux, CD is case sensitive. Yes, I do agree, honestly, this should be case sensitive over here on Windows too, but that's a thing. You'll need to be case sensitive as well. I highly suggest just making that a habit. Um, Another thing you do with CD, if you want to go back a directory, use the double dot. Now we've dropped back out into projects. You do a couple double dots to go back to, which I just did, and I'm just going to jump right into it. And if you want to go somewhere, you can always just type in the exact URL. Like that will take me to C users Hoenn, even if I was not anywhere in that file path. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. So now we're in the correct location. Is anyone having trouble getting to the correct location for where they saved their file? I did something wrong and I don't know what. I'm in Git Bash and I did cd to desktop, which worked, but I'm trying to get in my folder, which is called coding stuff. It said too many arguments. Okay, so if you have this is one of the annoyances. If you have a folder, let me just make a folder in my PSJS class thing with this so I can demonstrate. Give me 1 second. So I'm making a folder and I'm going to call it the same thing as you. And yes, that's exactly the issue, fart. Ah,
I figured.
coding stuff. I'm going to call it the exact same thing you did. So if I want to go into there, actually this works on Windows. Okay, that's stupid. But most things it's not going to work, and when running it, it's not going to work. Why? You have a space there. So on your thing, so let's assume this is like Linux or something that's actually not going to take this crap. You get this cd, that's the command. Your first argument is coding. It sees the space and assumes stuff is another argument. So what you need to do is you need to surround it in double quotes. So like cd coding stuff. You can surround the whole path in quotes too. Blue Barn, welcome to the stream. This is day one of me teaching a bunch of users from Pokemon Showdown how to use JavaScript and work on open source projects such as Showdown. So Showdown is actually open source. It's Node.js JavaScript, um, and as you can see, that for those of you who were watching earlier, that did work. And I've had numerous users express interest in learning it, so yeah, that's what I'm doing here. If you want to catch up later and potentially participate in the class, I highly suggest you watch the earlier parts of the video once the stream ends in an hour-ish, and hanging out after. And I will link, let me get our class doc, which is going to have all the information, and the Discord is where you'll find all sorts of resources too. So if you're interested, feel free to hop in. But yeah, continuing. Yeah, don't use at $20. I don't think that's the correct answer in this situation. Um, I would just round it in double quotes. Ray Extraneous Gaming. So who was having issues? Digital Heart Princess. Did the double quotes work to fix this? And Scrimble, is it the same? Do you have a space in your path as well? Yes, Blue Barn, this will be on YouTube. However, I cannot upload for at least 24 hours after the stream ends because I'm an affiliate, and according to the agreement, it's exclusive to Twitch for 24 hours. If I do, I'm in legal trouble, so it'll have to wait. Okay, so can you do what I did? So with the folder name, if you're just doing the whole thing at once, surround the whole thing in quotes. If you're just doing that single folder, do the single folder quotes. Do not do something like CD, whatever, and then oh my gosh, I didn't mean to send that. Um, you know, don't do this. You want to do the whole thing in double quotes if you're going to do like that. Okay, Celine. That might be hard to remember just because Twitch names are different, so I apologize if I do call you by your Twitch name. I have a lot going on in my head, obviously. Scrimble, did that fix your issue, or are you still stuck? If you're still stuck, I can if you can voice call, I can throw you in the call here for a little bit, and we can try to debug this. It's understandable to be stuck on even simple things. Okay, why don't you jump into the student call, and I will move you into the stream call, and we will figure this out. Unless you cannot voice call. Feel free to let me know one way or another. I'd be happy to help you, of course. I'm going to CD back out of this because I don't need that folder. I'll delete it later. I assume they're getting their mic because they haven't said no, but they haven't. Oh, okay. Can't VC at the moment. All right. In that case, can you tell me? Um, okay. So what's your current? I'll give you 5 minutes. I don't think I can hold the whole class up for 5 minutes, so I'm gonna try to debug this with you in chat. So, can you tell me where your file is saved at all? Um, like, if possible, post it into chat or send a screenshot, something, just anything you can use to tell us about that. And whoever's pinging me. Let me check this. Okay. And if in that, so at the moment while we wait on Scrimble to get that, does anyone have any questions so far? Anything they're confused about? I apologize for the fact that it's slow right now, but this, can happen. And that's perfectly fine. No. um, Otherwise we'll have fart seeing something. File save in docs, and it's saved in another folder in docs. So docs, is docs the name of the folder? What's the exact name of the folder if not? Okay, so it's saved in documents, so that would be C users, whatever your username is, documents. So saved in docs, it's saved in another folder in docs. What is the name of that folder? Yeah, are you in? That's another question too. Where's your terminal currently pointing to? That would be this thing right here. it says what it is. So like right now I'm in C users ho and documents projects ps.js hyphen class. Okay, so where does it say you currently are, and are you using git bash? Git bash likes to hide some info, which can be annoying. If you're using git bash, at least with me on Windows 10s, I was very annoyed to find out it starts in some folder I don't know where. So yeah, that's what I have to do with git bash. I have to, you don't see me set it up because I clear my terminal after during stream setup, but I do open it, cd c colon users hoen documents yada yada yada. I have to use an absolute path to get there the first time. Try an absolute path. If you're not using git bash, let me know. We'll just wait a moment for Scrimble to figure out this. Nada. Okay. Can you tell me what your terminal currently says next to where you type things in? Can you like you can censor your username by replacing it with like open bracket or replace it with Scrimble or whatever if it's sensitive. Um, or you could just send it exactly as is. And if stuff doesn't work, and I think it might be that, I'll ask you to PM me it privately, just so that that info doesn't go anywhere else. Because if there's a space in there, I think that can cause problems sometimes, but I don't know. At least if you're doing an absolute path. So, yeah. Are you on Windows, Linux, Mac? That's another good question for this situation. Um, yes, I can link Twitch for you, sir. You can also click my ding dang name. Yes, okay, Windows. A lot of issues are not a problem for me if my file directory is F files, educational, independent study, coding, PSJS, or projects results. Wow. Okay, that's cool. That works. Um, However you want to have it set up. Okay, so I got PM. Let's see here. C users, whatever their username is. CDC users name. Um, your username does not match the name you're using. At least on the first one, like you have. Do you mind if I'm not going to say it. I'll type it. You have this as your username, and you typed this, which is different. That's one thing. For the other one, documents should exist, honestly, so I don't know why that's not working. Try the first one with the corrected name again, just in case it's something funky.
What version of Windows are you on? On older versions, it's My Documents, not just Document.
Right. Are you on Windows 7 potentially? Or something older? I'm not sure if older would work with Node.js. Okay,
Windows
Windows
10, it
10, yeah,
should
that
be
should be
Document.
fine. It should be documents. Because, like, that's what it is for me. Um, let's see. Always pops system being unable to find the path. Okay, one sec, I was thinking of something. Let me teach you another command, then we'll figure this out through that. ls. Wait, that's Linux. Geez, what's the equivalent of ls for Windows that just shows what currently is? Is it dir?
I'm pretty sure there's dir.
Directory of location volume is in drive C. Yeah, and it's gonna show the various things. Okay, so like what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to type dir, and it's going to give you various information. So I'm going to back out into projects and run dir as an example. So it's going to have various things that you see in your projects directory. So for example, dot, I don't remember what that is honestly, dot dot, that tells you to go backwards. And then you have various other things. So like I have colony, Discord bot, FTP, low inc, PSC, SJS class, PSS, Splatoon Stratboard, US review feedback. Those are all folders. So can you tell me if there's a documents folder in there, and if not, maybe send me a screenshot of what's going on there, because it sounds like something's very off for whatever you're doing. Hi, Freaks Daddy. Welcome to the stream. I'm teaching a class on JavaScript to a bunch of users who are brand new to programming whatsoever. They're all mostly from Pokemon Showdown, so I'm integrating that in along with open source contributions. This is day one, so we're going over the absolute basics. Right now, I'm trying to get them to run a basic Hello World file, but one of the students is having an issue, so I'm trying to walk them through it right now. Um, Let me go ahead and link the class document in Discord for information if you're interested in participating. Um, yeah, I'm one of the global leaders on Pokemon Showdown. I developed for it. Let me go ahead and check that image. Fart, would you answer his questions for a moment while I check this? Do you not have a documents folder? The heck? Open your File Explorer and make sure you have a documents folder you can access, because that makes no sense to me. This is crazy, Fart. Do you mind if I send this to Fart too? I didn't. Yeah, I'm not the owner. That's Zarl. Zarl, I think. I don't remember what his Twitch name's of. Without SQL, there is. I'm sure there's SQL involved, but that's more behind the scenes. With database work. Hold on. Let me answer someone who just pinged me. It's probably important if it got pinged in that channel. Some client stuff has SQL, IRC, maybe, maybe not. I don't remember. Yeah, okay, I'll send this to Fart then. This is, let me send this to you, Fart. This is freaky. Documents, this PC documents. I mean, like, this PC is like a quick link of some kind, if I remember correctly. Hi, Ho, and I'm awake, unfortunately. I mean, it's 7:15 in the morning. It's time to get up for you. Everyone should get up at 7 a.m., right? I know I'm gonna get a negative response from that. That's why I said it. But yeah, Freaks Daddy. The server is coded in Node.js and JavaScript. Well, I guess Node.js is JavaScript really. Obviously uses HTML, CSS client, uses some PHP and various other things. A lot of TypeScript nowadays, but yeah, it uses quite a few things. Good time to get up, but I screwed up my sleep schedule. Rip. Yep, that's fair. Um,
Okay. So Scrimble or Sacred in Windows 10 when it's installing, there's the option to not have a documents folder and instead use OneDrive exclusively. So what you're actually going to want to do is you're going to want to do CD OneDrive.
okay, yeah, I see your OneDrive dir. I don't know. I guess that was set up that way by whoever set your computer up slash you. I don't know. It's a bit weird, but I don't know. Redirect it to OneDrive's document folder if you selected the option OneDrive instead of this PC only documents. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna teach Git 2 soon. We're not quite there yet because this is day one. It's a little advanced for people who haven't even run a single program yet, but we're about to get to that first milestone. But yeah, I'm not gonna go into super in depth in Git or something. I'm not some master of Git. Okay, great. Are you able to get all the way to where your file's located, Scrimble? If you need to use dir to see where you are and get a look at your surroundings, feel free to. And you guys, rest of you guys, be sure to remember that and use that too. Dir is going to be a useful command on Windows, and on Linux it's going to be ls. I'm not sure what it is on Mac, but that's something that could be Googled. And if you can't figure that out, I can always try Googling for you, I suppose.
It's LS.
Yeah, Git's got some desktop app now too, though. I prefer using command line honestly, and that's what I'm going to teach. So I think rather than knowing the UI, knowing the technical details is good. So day one is about setting up the local environment, aka downloading Node IDE or something else today. Basically I told my students I expect you to download and install your stuff on your own. Day one was a lot of, and this is showing up on top. Oh, hey, I have to hide you manually. Okay, there we go. Day one was a lot of basics, so I explained like the differences between how a human and computer thinks, basic steps of writing a script, and now we're into creating JS file and using a command line to run them with Node.js. And we'll go over a few other things here and potentially dive into some basic data types and whatnot. Depends on how far we really get here. We got about 45 minutes at least. But yeah, I think it's important to get your basic framework down so that you know, geez, I completely lost what I was going to say. It's important you get your basic framework down so that you're not confused later on and you're basically set in the right direction. Okay, you got it, Scrimble. Great. That's the goal at least. But if something takes too long, we may split it into multiple days, and if something takes a short time, it may be half a day or something. But yeah, that's the plan at least. Each bullet point is a major point slash a day. So we'll see what happens. I plan to stream every day except Mondays because Mondays are busy. Also, next week, guys, heads up, is finals week for me. So that might be busy and I might cut a few days out there. But otherwise, I will push to get stuff done, as much stuff done as possible before everyone else goes back to school in fall, including me. Anyway, so let's see. You guys now have this file, very basic, like almost as basic as it could possibly be, and you are in a terminal that is at that location. So let me actually get back to there myself. So now we're ready to run it. If you install Node, which you should have done by now, if you have not, you'll need to do that first. You could check if you have it with Node V, I believe. Yep, Node V. Tells me 12.6.0. That's basically checks the version of Node, and you should do that. If you only just installed it and it's not working and you did install it, you may need to restart your computer. While holding here, can't spell like a true stream.watch. Thank you, Alita. If you installed Node but you cannot access it from the command line, you will need to restart your computer to update your path. Yeah, that's annoying. I forgot to mention that. So if anyone needs to reboot their computer, please let me know and I will wait, or at least come back to it for you. But to run this file, let me check Discord, make sure there's no questions. I'm pretty sure we're all know there's someone here. Oh, it dropped you in the staff channel. Sorry about that. I didn't know the invite was set to staff. Where do you install Node? Okay, Jolteon, you just decided to drop in, right? So you wouldn't have had time to prepare this. On the Discord, I did include this link, but I will post this here as well. Um, Let me go ahead and post it in chat. Node.js can be found here. In the welcome channel, there's basic requirements. Those things need to be installed. It's alright, Ray Noxious Gaming. We didn't really do too much yet at all, if I'm being honest. Can you guys see that or not? Hey, Darkness of Pen, welcome to the stream. But that's the link to Node.js. Pretty sure what's recommended right now, actually. Um, you want 12.8.0 current. We need 12.6.0 or later. They've been updating since I started planning this. When I did it, it was 12.6. 12.8 should be stable enough to work. It should be fine. It's not a beta or anything. Recommended for most users, honestly. Yeah. That's long-term support. So they might change some things, but they're not going to change anything we're working on. That's literally core JavaScript features we're working with. That would be a that would break everything if they changed it, like literally the internet. So yeah, we'll be fine. You misspelled it, Darkness Pen. Have fun. Thank you, Space Cactus, for that. Space Cactus is a person and a bot.
Beep boop.
All right, but yeah, you'd want to download 12.8.0 current, or you could go for 12.6 or whatever, but 12.8 should be fine. Um, that'll take a while. You'll probably have to reboot as well, so I'm not gonna wait 20 minutes. Sorry. If you were already there, that should have been done already, but I understand that it can sometimes be slow. I highly suggest while you're installing, just keeping an eye on the stream and watching instead of doing. It's quite simple, and you should be able to recreate it later. So what we're going to do, pretty simply, is we're going to run the file. So we need to know our file name first. Obviously, you saved it, so you should know. For me, it's hello world.js. Okay, let me check your thing. When installing Node, it gives two different options: Node.js and Node.js command prompt. They appear to be a command prompt. The particular one you use, that's anything 12.6.0 or later is going to be okay, so that should be fine. I forgot what you wanted me to call you, but I remember you want me to. Celine. All right. Okay, Alita. Good to know. Oh wait, that's maybe a problem. I might have to appoint someone to take your place, but for a while. Anyways, we'll deal with that after this, Alita, or tomorrow morning, whatever, some point. Anyways, Um, Node.js and Node.js command prompt. I don't remember selecting anything different command line wise. I think it would just be the default option. The only time I remember not selecting the default option in my setup was when I was installing Git. I selected the one that works better with npm and Node, which would be use the default Windows one. I don't even know. I think I have the Node command prompt. I'm pretty sure I just don't use it like I use the Git one. But let me know if that doesn't answer your question, Blue Bar. I'm counting on Fart to take over entertainment duties. I was talking about Staff Bros, but yes, he can handle that. Lycan too if they're around. But yeah, for the rest of you that are continuing on, if anyone is having issues, do let me know. But is there anything? No, no issues in Discord. Good. Okay, so we're gonna run this thing now. We know our file name. For me, it's helloworld.js. For you guys, you should probably know what it is. Um, if it has spaces in it, I'm pretty sure surrounding it with quotes will work for this. So be sure to remember that. But if it doesn't, which I highly suggest you use hyphens, underscores, or whatever to represent spaces instead of actually putting a space in your file name or your folder names or anything like that. It's quite obnoxious for coding. So we use the node command to run things. So like if you run node alone, oops, it's gonna open a command that you could type your own code in. Um, and I think it's Control C to exit. Yeah, so if you do run it like that, you can Control C to exit. So we'll be using this a lot, but I want to teach you guys a file this time. To run a file, you'll want to use node and then the name of the file. So hello world.js for me. I hit enter, and that's all it does. Quite literally, it puts hello world into the console, but that's one step from absolutely nothing, so it's a good first step. And it works the same kind of way with Showdown, like we run a file to run Showdown. Um, like with Showdown, it's node Pokemon Showdown, and that'll boot a Pokemon Showdown server and execute tons of things. But we're not gonna poke around with that right now. It's just node hello world.js. So that should run your file. Let me know if you guys have any problem running your file if it doesn't output what you put inside of your thing. So for example, my thing here, I put in hello world anything. This text that I highlighted is what is logged. What goes on to the terminal slash command prompt slash whatever. That's what's logging. So if I changed it to, I don't know, fart sucks, then save it and then run it. There it goes. I did it. Dinner's ready, so
Yo,
I'm likely going to miss the rest of the stream. Thanks so much for teaching. You're very welcome, Digital Celine. Um, be sure to tune into
It's
the
fine.
last 30 minutes of it later. Sorry, Fart, I had to use something as an example. Let's do hello Twitch, that's better. We'll just go ahead and make that edit, save, and run again. There we go. So, as you can see, you can change what it says. Feel free to poke around with that if you want. Um, yes, Node will run JavaScript files pretty much. But it's not going to run anything you pull from like a browser. Like if a browser's set up to work in a browser environment and modify HTML, that's not going to work because this is not a internet client. This is a server basically setting. Node.js is used for servers, so we're basically working on backend with JavaScript rather than front end. And that's actually not uncommon. It's not hearsay or anything. For future reference, like I said earlier, just Node alone will let you run things, so you can run whatever you feel like within the command prompt, which is not bad for typing small things. Do you hold Control and then press C? Like you're holding Control, press C, let go of C. Unexpected token. If you can't get it to work like that, you can type process dot exit open close parentheses. So like, yeah, it's not the caret sign. That's me holding the control key. It displays like that. So if you cannot get control C to work for some reason, process.exit will also work. That kills whatever node program you're running. So that's a useful way to get out of it if you need to, though you probably won't need to remember it until you're running something like a server that's listening for requests from clients or whatever. Um, can you DM me how late is Star going to be? Frog, this is going to end in about half an hour, so he'll be done in about 30-ish minutes. Okay, from Leaf on Discord, Node Hello World. I typed it as this, and it gave me Node Hello World is not a recognized an internal or external command operable program or batch file. It's not in a folder, I just in documents. Okay, Leaf, what you did there is you did not try to run a file at all. Unless are you is the file called hello world.js? I assume it has the space there, and that's the correct case because this is case sensitive, meaning if your H is capital, you need to make sure your H is capital, and if it's lowercase, it needs to be lowercase, etc. So let me PM Frog while you reply. Let me find. Okay. Yep. Okay. Leaf, you did not save it as a .js file, so um, are you on Windows? I apologize that you guys can't see what's going on, but I mean, I don't want to share my DMs on Discord with the world, so. But basically, Leaf is someone who's listening in and is having issues. On Windows 10, okay, so within your, you can do this, I believe, on Visual Studio as well. So, like, let me show it there. Or if you're not using Visual Studio, maybe your thing handles it. Worst case, you can go into your Windows File Explorer and navigate to where it is and right-click and hit rename. But let me go ahead and show this how I would do it in Visual Studios. I believe right-click, not there. Actually, it would be over here, so you might not be able to do that. Never mind. So you'd want to do it in File Explorer, but at least for me, I could do rename and then type whatever name I want. You need the .js extension. So if it does show up somewhere that you can edit it, I can't seem to do it by right-clicking the top of it. I don't see anything here either, so no, I cannot. Well, open editors, maybe up here. Come on. No. Okay, it just doesn't want to cooperate. You'll have to go into File Explorer and find the file, which you seem to have already found based on your screenshot, and make sure to add the .js extension to tell your computer that's a JavaScript file. So like you can see on the stream, mine says hello world.js. I'd also suggest removing the space because those are really annoying to work with. But if let's test to see if the space thing even works. Let's add a space to ours just for the heck of it. Why not? Let's figure out if that would even work. I don't know. Um, Obviously, we need to do the space here, and it's going to not recognize, so let's do that. And actually, yes, it does. So if you use quotes and you have a space, it will work if you want, though I highly suggest, and I'm going to change mine back, not using a space in your folder names or file names. Yep, that's good. Okay, can you try running it now? If you still have a space, be sure to use your quotes and be sure to include .js as well. Um, Not sure why this isn't all showing, but there we go. See general. Hi there, following stream at the moment, so AFK. Welcome to the Discord, Blue Barn. If you want the student role or stream notifications or nah, I don't think any of the other ones are free yet to give out. Yeah, feel free to ask for it, and me or Fart will be happy to give it to you. Otherwise, I will check in with Leaf again. Is everything going okay over there? Yeah, they're typing. Let's give them a moment. Give me console is undefined error. Okay, do you have... Can you give me your Node version? Actually, can you voice chat, Leaf? It would be easier to voice chat and figure these out. If you can, go ahead and hop into student voice. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and get Leaf in here in just a second, and we'll debug this. This is kind of like the steps of writing a script. I kind of gave you the instructions, the design, everything. We're in the debug step, though. It's not working. It's crashing. Okay, there they are. Let's move them in.
Not working.
Whoa. Okay, I gotta turn you
Oh,
down.
hello?
Hello. Let me double check you're not too loud. Go ahead and say something again.
Hello?
All right. Yeah. I'll check what you said in a moment, Blue Barn. All right, great. That should be good. Okay. You're a good teacher, man. You have good level of patience, knowledge. That there will be a lot of success with your students. So thank you for the compliment. I really do appreciate that. Okay, so we have on the call now Leaf, who is a student, and like we've been talking about, they're having trouble running their file. We thought it might have been it's just not a JS file, but it's just not quite working at all. Okay, so firstly, are you in the right location is the first step. If you do dir, do
Um,
you see your file? If you
yeah,
type dir.
I'll show you the current terminal.
See a Super Mario Fanism. Thank you for attending. Be sure to keep an eye on the rest of the stream so you can catch up with anything you may have missed. I will, of course, post the Twitch link as soon as the stream is over.
This is the current thing that I'm in right now before using the node command, and the JavaScript file is not in a folder or anything like that. So
Can you? Okay, so you're in C users leaf documents. Can you type dir and see if you can see your JavaScript file in there?
okay, okay, I see what you're saying. Dir.
So yeah, like
To yes. So if I open up the dir, there is the text and the JavaScript there.
okay, so you have a text and JavaScript file. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, because I did a separate save for the JavaScript file. So
that's fine. That's fine.
uh,
Okay. Can you do node v for me to see if you have node set up?
so any spaces or just node v?
Node space dash v. Like it's on stream right now if you check that, or it should be in a moment if you're behind a bit, which should
Oh,
be
okay,
normal.
now I see. I see. Dash v. Yeah, version 12.7.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's not the issue. Okay. Um, can you send me a screenshot of your dir real quick just so I can check it because something's not lining up and I feel like it's something from that area. Oh, whoops, sorry about the spike in noise there. Moved my mic a little too close. If I'm too
I
quiet, this should be better.
Yeah, this means you guys see my real name. Yeah, I don't care. Sure, you can see my
I'm
real
not
name.
gonna leak any of that info. I deal with a lot
Oh
of
no,
sensitive
Owen's
info.
gonna dox me, guys, here on stream.
I mean, you do know if you use Showdown, that logs IP info, and I could technically access that. I'm not going to go access that, but
Oh,
yeah.
oh
So I
shit.
technically know your location. There you go. or
Oh
close-ish
shit!
to it.
I'm about to be hardcore doxxed. All right,
No,
anyway.
no, we're not doing that. But yeah, I take care of information I'm given. All right, so users, whoever the heck this is. Okay, you typed hello world.js, which is not going to do anything but echo a string to the console because the shell is another language. Okay, so your problem is you're not typing node first. This doesn't just run JavaScript files.
Actually, let me scroll up for the
And I do see your um, hello world.js file, so that is there. Send in pizzas. No, we're not sending a ton of pizzas. Report home.
So this so
Oh,
this is like direct. This goes directly above that. So
you forgot a space between node and your command. So, and you also are messing up with your quotation marks. So you have node, no space, double quote, hello, space, world, double quote, .js, double quote. So
okay, so
that's very wrong. So what you'll want to do is, I will type it out for you on the stream. Node, I can't type, hello, world.js. So first of all, when you're running it, it's like a command on Showdown or something. You need a space between your arguments, at least usually. Some of them do comma, but with the terminals and such, it's spaces usually. That's why we surround them in double quotes. Surrounding something in double quotes says this is all one argument. So if you close your double quote early, it basically says it's not getting what the heck to do with the .js afterwards because it thinks it's separate or something. I don't know. It's all stuck together. Maybe, maybe not.
mm.
That
Oh
may be
no.
okay, but it's the double quote's not part of the file name, so it should be fine.
All right, now I got it working. Node hello world.js, and then next thing is hello world. So it's
Okay, great, great.
all right.
That's great. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Leaf. I will be happy to answer any further questions you have while you're here, or
All right, yep. Yeah, keep. I'll exit out then. I'll keep listening. Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Okay. Okay, guys, so good so far, and no, I am not swatting them. Geez, all because I know their name now doesn't mean I'm going to do anything with that. Um, shouldn't programming file names back one-liners with camel case? Yeah, camel case is something I'm planning to teach extremely soon, actually. You could do camel case, you could do something else like, let me pull up PS here. I'm pretty sure PS does a combination of it. So like if you keep your eye on the sidebar, there's a combination like daily colon or dash spotlight, room events, other things. I think some of them use camel case. I don't think of any, but it's really up to your choice, I think. I don't remember data. No, it's not data. It might be sim. Nah, I don't think PS uses them at all, but that's the way I did it at least, but it can be fine. So I had some issue installing Node.js. Whoop, didn't know that would link. It's fine. Yeah, we'll just ignore that link. What's your issue, Jolteonite? You could do it either way. If you want to use camel case, that's perfectly acceptable. And I will explain what camel case is here either tomorrow or very soon. We're going to try to finish debugging this. I'm going to send me a screenshot, okay? Let me check what I have set for the rest of this. I do want to dive into... Right, yeah, camel case is actually scheduled for today, but if we don't have time, then I will set it for tomorrow. But that's fine. We're all very new and are probably going to struggle. That's perfectly acceptable. Let me know when that's ready. For now, I think I'm going to talk a bit about our next thing, which is the difference. Okay, you have it ready. Let me look. Oh, wait. Maybe I don't want to put that. Well, you put it in stream. Anyone can see it. Okay. Whoa, I don't know what's going on here, actually. Let me see no. Okay, chocolatey. Upgraded various things. What did you do? Because I don't remember installing Node.js with chocolate. I literally just did the download install. This class is pretty cool. I did Codecademy for JS, but this really connects the dot for me, man. Yeah, Codecademy, that's actually what I started with a couple years ago. It is bad, if I'm being honest. It's a nice site, especially when it was free when I did it, but it's not a good quality. It's just doesn't, it just throws you in there, teaches you this syntax, and doesn't give you this stuff that you need to really connect the dots and make things tick. This is why I'm doing this first, and this is why I feel this is the most critical class of the entire stream. So, yeah. Okay, Jolteon Knight, let me look at this. Fart, you here?
I'm here.
You see this? I haven't worked with Chocolatey before, actually. Are you trying to install Node.js with Chocolatey?
I'm also confused why it's in PowerShell, but I don't know if that's making a difference.
I usually just use command. I use the DOS terminal. I don't. PowerShell, I think, is different. I don't know the difference on Windows 10, which is. Actually, you have an older thing. You have Windows 7, I think. That should be okay still. Is that Windows 7?
I think it is.
Looks like it. I've used Windows 7 in the past. Haven't used it for years, but definitely not Windows 8. I used that as of a month ago, so I don't know. Went through the steps at the link and had a box if you want to install things that are. Oh, you're doing the C# and whatnot. That's an optional thing you can do. I didn't bother doing it. Feel free to just hit enter to exit. It should be fine. Those are all optional add-ons. Looks like Node.js should be good. Yeah, Windows 7. I did some research into the minimum requirements for the Node version, and it said Windows 7 is fine. I did post the details link in welcome on why the minimum versions are what they are. Jolteon, feel free to just exit that, and you should be okay, and see if you can run Node. If you can't, you may have to reboot your computer to update your path, basically, which controls what commands exist. That does require a restart. So worst case, if you have a phone or something, continue listening on here. If not, come back in a couple minutes when that finishes. God, guys, I feel like tech support again. Okay, I had to unbend myself from my Linux box. Are people still figuring out how to navigate the paths? Kind of, Anubis. We got mostly past that. I'm helping someone install Node. JS enjoy it asterisk. What's that supposed to mean? Try everything we did from Node or from command. I don't know what the Node command prompt is. I just use command. I can't tell you if you'd have a different result because of that. Yeah, running Hello World, I just use command like I was using. If you do have any questions, feel free to poke me. We may not get to them before the end of the stream, but I will be available in Discord and such afterwards, and can probably voice call still. Continuing on, we got about 15 minutes, and I want to cover some things, so let's talk about that. If you're running behind, feel free to post in chat, and I'll see what, and me and Fart will see what you can do text-wise while I talk about this. And we'll come back to once we cover the last few steps to finish this point. Okay, so we did creating JS files. Short Node.js versus internet browser explanation. So what we're using is Node.js. It's made for server-side JavaScript, such as the Showdown server, and working on, well, yeah, running saying server-side. I almost mixed that up with Git. However, JavaScript originally, and is still used a lot for, do not think this is now a server-side language or something, is used in clients, aka internet browsers. So You go to a web page, most likely a JavaScript script is running in the background, causing something on the page to work properly, whether that's loading an ad that we all hate, or if it's going off in like Showdown logging you in, or whatever. It does a lot of things. Like Showdown is just a huge amount of JavaScript because it's a one-page website. The whole thing requires an enormous amount of JS to work. That's run in a browser-based environment. So like in a browser-based environment, it's different. You have the DOM, the document object model. You can manipulate HTML elements on the screen using JavaScript there. Server, no, you cannot manipulate HTML on a user's client in that way. You could send messages to the client that tells the client scripts to do that if your client script is programmed that way. Node prompt is like repel where you type directly in there for quick tests. Node.js command prompt similar to regular command prompt. Thanks for the info. But yeah, those are your main differences there. Also, your server can have things like sub-processes and whatnot, which are too advanced to talk about right now other than mentioning they exist. So yeah, pretty simple separation there, at least for now. So next up, readability and dry, which I already said earlier, stands for don't repeat yourself. You want to write good readable code. Fart, can you grab me an example of some code that's like really hard to read, if you have any? JS code, preferably.
Sure, I'll look for something on Pokemon Showdown.
Oh my god. Okay, but
That wasn't meant to be an insult. There's a particular thing that
you know of that's not very
yeah,
readable.
I can't remember where it was though.
Uh-huh.
It included regular expressions, which is always a good example of
Oh boy.
confusing code.
I meant like it's written in a bad way that makes it hard to read rather than it's just plain hard to read because of its irregular expression. But yeah, so actually let me just type something up real quick as a short example. Maybe Fart will come with something better in a sec.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
So like sometimes in JS you'll see a lot of whatever, I don't know. You don't need to know what all this does right now, but things happen, etc. And you have your code. Um, and this is more readable, but this is more readable. Like this is readable. Let thing equal 5. You don't know what that means yet, but you can read that out quite easily. Meanwhile, something like, oh, I don't know. Let's make this hell to read. Here you go. This is much harder to read because it's quite literally as compressed as humanly possible. You can still read it if you look closely, but that's really a lot harder to read, honestly. That's called code readability. Unreadable like having one method do all the programming functions instead of tons of mini methods. I mean, yeah, that too, but we're not up to methods yet. I'm mostly talking about like keep your lines spaced, use indentation, that kind of stuff. So, indentation, that's basically when you hit the tab key to insert a certain number of spaces or just a tab character. I actually have my Visual Studio Code set up. Where is my settings? If I can remember where it is, but I have it set up like tab size. I want number of spaces a tab is equal to, and I have it set somewhere. Insert spaces when pressing tab. I have that off. It's on by default because PS's standard is tab, insert hard tab characters. You can do that if you want. It's a personal preference for your own stuff, but for other projects, be sure to follow their thing. VS Code, however, is smart and will automatically use whatever the project is using, so that should help you when we get to PS. So like you hit tab, it moves. You see my little cursor here, it's moved. And the display is different from what it actually is. So that's indentation. When to use it inside code blocks, which you don't know yet. We'll get to that probably in a couple days. yeah, we got quite a bit to cover first. But yeah, another thing, spacing. Space your things out. Like this is much easier to read. Why? There's spacing. For example, there's spacing between the angle bracket and your parentheses here because that's valid. Spacing between your equal sign and your assignment value or whatever. You obviously don't understand what that is yet. But the idea is write good looking code. Now I will, as we get into what everything is, tell you the best way to write it and show you the best way to write it for readability. Um, However, that's obviously right now I can't do that because we really haven't done anything but log hello world to the console. Um, Also, another thing, try to avoid extremely long lines. There's probably some of those in PS I could find, but I'm not going to do that right now because I don't know exactly where to look. As then you'll have to go down to the bottom bar and scroll all the way over and read through it carefully and whatnot. So yeah, they don't understand variables yet, Space Cactus. So
Here,
hold on. But yeah, they don't understand variables yet. We'll get to that though when we get to variables. Dry is don't repeat yourself. Now you guys can't know that yet. Um, because you don't have anything to write really, but more or less the idea is, let's say you wanted to log hello Twitch the console 100 times. You could type out console log 100 times, or you could use something called a for loop, which you'll get to soon. Dry is the concept of don't repeat your code 30,000 times. Don't use a giant chain of if statements or something, which, once again, you guys won't get these concepts very much yet. But you just need to understand the core idea of don't repeat your code repeatedly. I will, once again, just like with readability, teach you guys the specific details as we go through things, answer questions, point out potential flaws in your code to learn from as I look at it. It's all a learning process and we're all going to screw up. So, yeah. But yeah, with a for loop, you could literally log console log hello Twitch 100 times with only 3 lines, compared to 100 lines of this, and going, okay, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. Um, yes, that's something I had to write. That was horrible. Sometimes you have to do that. Space Cactus, but yeah, usually when it's avoidable. That is a TypeScript thing, but the idea is that's supposed to do some stuff. Like, that's quite hard to read. Here's an example of the long line. Let me get rid of that because it's a TypeScript thing. Oh, come on. VS Code, I told you to delete this, not the entire line. But really long, like, even if you split it out, it's still long just because it has to be to work. I suppose in theory I could do like this. Probably should have. But that's much easier to read. Obviously, regular expressions are a pain in the butt to understand regardless, but we're not getting into those, thank God. Yeah, that's fair. Um, Regular expressions are very complicated, and I don't expect anyone to learn them right now. Honestly, I'm not even going to teach them because I don't understand them well enough. I'll probably dab into them dabble in them so you guys understand what they are. But yeah, so
are we going to be going over any kind of databases?
no, I don't know databases myself yet, unfortunately.
Okay.
All right, so last thing on our list today is case sensitivity and camel case. So in JavaScript, case sensitivity is a thing. So like this thing and thing both store data. They're called variables. You learn them later. You can declare them. You can only have one of each type, and you notice they're both the same name, but one of them has a capital T that makes them different. If I change this to a T, then VS Code should point out an error, and if it doesn't, it'll crash during runtime or whatever. So like if I try to now run this, if this would come on, thank you. Can I please run my thing? Oh, I didn't save it. That's the problem. So yeah, go. Yep. Syntax error identifier thing has already been declared. That's the issue because case sensitivity, they're both exactly the same, but if I change it to one of them to a capital T, it works. What exactly that's doing right now is not important. The thing you need to know here is that it's case sensitive, meaning this thing with a lowercase t is not equal to thing with a capital T. You gotta remember that. So, and then camel case is the idea where the first, if you have like, if you're stringing multiple things together, like let's say you wanted to create something called Ho and Hero can't spell or whatever, you know that's typed, and you got you got like 4 words in there because Ho and Hero's a name and it counts as 1 in my opinion, though you could say that counts as 2, but whatever. The idea is the first word is lowercase, the second one is starts with an uppercase, and so forth. So like Ho and Hero can't spell, that's the order it'd be in. That's called camel case. It's not a requirement to do that. However, it's a good practice, something you want to do. So obviously when you're logging a message to users, you don't want to go, oh, let's change this to this. This is stupid. Users do not want to see that if you were trying to say hello Twitch or something. You'd want to type it in a way users want to see it. But when you're talking about identifiers in the code, which we'll get to soon, use this case. So I will come back to camel case again when we get to variables and such. So don't fret too much if you don't get it too much right now. Just get the idea that camel case meaning if you're trying to string multiple words together. The first one has the first word starts with a lowercase letter. All the rest of them are lowercase in that word too. The second one and so forth starts with an uppercase letter followed by the rest of them being lowercase. So you don't have to do exactly that technically JavaScript wise, but good practice again. So anyone have questions of any kind? We'll sit and answer questions until everyone's done because I think we're mostly done with the stream here just because of time constraints. After we do, alright, so let's see here, Jolt 751. After we do each of the CD things, what do we do for the final file to run? Using CD in 2019, what do you mean by that, Sarah? Potentially suggesting something else? Able to run it just updating here, okay. If whoever suggested that CD is bad, I don't know.
I think they mean like a CD-ROM.
No, no, no. We're using the CD command change directory. Yes, so we're not using an actual CD for any of this. Okay, so I don't see any questions so far. I will sit for another 5 or so minutes to accept questions. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and start closing things up. So this has been day 1. Day 2, we're aiming for tomorrow. Please, I'm gonna go ahead and post in the student things right now. Student, react to this if you can make tomorrow's stream at 6 to 8 p.m. EDT, which is the same time as before. So please do react to that if you are interested in participating in tomorrow's class. Even if you haven't seen all of this one's class, I'll get to that in a moment. Be sure to join the Discord, which I will link in chat. And here's the class document giving you all the info you need about the class. And be sure to ask for the okay. Yeah, I'll explain that in a sec. Be sure to ask for the student role. Okay, Okay, so currently we don't have a set what we're going to do each day thing. It's mostly because, like, let's say we get stuck on objects and we have to take 3 days on that. So I don't know how much people will get or won't get, so I'm making it very flexible. But the general idea is that each of these bullet points, bar the first one, that's just a mark, like this, computer programming basics, that's what we're aiming for day one. Like day two, we're aiming to do basic data types, everything in here. And if that takes like 30 minutes, then we'll do statements and loops too. We'll start working on that. Let's say that takes 4 hours. That'll be multiple days then. So it depends on how long things take, but that's the idea, at least. That's the main goal. That's the big reason I didn't specify we're doing this on day one, this on day two, this on day three. We're not like an actual classroom where we have a deadline to get this done. I want everyone to understand before we move on, and I can afford to do that, so that's the plan. If you have any further questions about it, feel free to drop them in, and I'd be happy to answer them. Let me check to make sure there's no further questions on Discord. Show up 30 minutes to an hour later than the start time. All right, Anubis. Sounds good. Be sure to catch up on whatever you miss when you do show up late. Concerning people who have shown up late and are still interested, including today or in the future or any other time, or if you just outright miss a stream. I don't know, maybe you're really sick for 3 days and you can't make them. You can, I will in the Discord, in a public channel, post videos for all of these and YouTube links to these videos, which will all be in a nice, playlist. Once I have permission to do that, legal permission from Twitch, which I have to wait at least 24 hours after the end of each stream. And, that'll probably be late at night, so it'll probably be the day after. I will do that, so there will be a permanent link, but the temporary Twitch link will be up until it expires at least. Thank you for testing in my chat again. If you are interested in more streams other than just this, be sure to follow and turn on notifications, and you'll be notified, for future streams. I also do appreciate just following even if you don't turn on notifications. Another way to get notified if you don't watch your Twitch notifications, like a lot of people I know don't, is to go ahead and join the Discord, which I will link again in chat. And as for the stream notifications role, if you don't even need to, if you're not interested in future streams and you just want the student streams, you could just ask for the student role, and I will ping the student and stream notification roles for these classes. But for anything else, it'll just be stream notifications. And yes, I'm still taking questions, guys. Let me see. I got a ping. It's not for this, so we're going to continue onwards. I think that's it. I think I've covered everything now. It's about 2 hours and 5 minutes in, 8:05 p.m. right now. Does anyone have any questions now at all? And if anyone's wondering, you could not hear it. Jolty and I, do they go up as videos on Twitch right after the stream? Yes, they are instantly up on Twitch. If not, it'll probably be like a minute or two. I haven't really checked, but I will post in the Discord the moment I have the link. Okay, good so far. Good. Okay, thank you everyone for watching then. If you are confused about anything in the stream or whatever, please do not hesitate to ping me. Is there anything simple we could test like the hello world? One thing you can do if you're interested in a little bit more, I really don't have much to offer you right now. I know you're hungry for more. Heck, I want to kind of do more, but I'm getting tired, honestly. I could go another hour, but a lot of people are dropping off, and I don't want to cut too much, so I think we're going to cut here still. And I'll have some, don't worry, I'll have some, if you're looking for someone else doing programming, I'm going to do a raid when we quit, so to another programming streamer. But for other things you could do, you can, the hello world within the quotes, you can modify what that says. Like I changed it to hello Twitch on my end. So like it says hello Twitch here. Anything within those two quote marks, you can do that. Right now, you literally, the only syntax you know is... Jeez, that scared me. Thank you for the follow, Celine. You can the only thing you know is how to print basically text. And yes, you could, but they haven't gotten to that point yet, really, Blue Barn. Quite literally, this is class 1 and this is the only thing they know. You could put multiple statements in there and log more than one thing if you want. But that's really the extent of what I've taught you that you can mess with. It's like literally the most bare bones thing possible. Oh, well, maybe not. There's more bare bones than that, but it's very bare bones. Yeah, you can do things like that, but we'll get into that tomorrow, actually. We'll get into, I don't know about variables, but we'll get into math at least tomorrow and strings and booleans. I think variables too, I don't remember. I might move that around depending. Um, Let me go ahead and show you what I ran real quick. Come on, thank you. But yeah, you see it logs hello Twitch. But yeah, we'll get into math tomorrow. If you want to poke around with what Space Cactus brought, feel free to. Um, but yeah, I think that covers that. Let's see, anything on Twitch? You guys need a 1 terabyte SD card or 32. Not that kind of CD again. But yeah, I think that covers everything for today's. Tomorrow we'll be doing basic data types. And what was I gonna say? Right, the follow thing we already went over. So yeah, I don't think there's any more questions. So I'm gonna start looking for a raid. Let's see here. Come on. Let's go to. That's obnoxious. Come on. Let me get to my category. I want to go and raid someone from science and technology, please. Thank you. Okay, let's find someone who's smaller / doing something interesting. Someone. That's funny. Let's see here. Node React. We already did them earlier. Let's do someone different. Someone's doing 3D modeling. You guys want to look at that? Or would you rather do something programming related? I do see another one I could do as well. Speak now or forever hold your silence. Or I'll. Let's take a look at both of these while I wait on you guys. Actually, does this person even? Probably kill the tab after this. I mean, that's fair. I usually just like to raid to have the people in there. It's nice to do that even if people leave shortly after. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's do the 3D modeling one. That looks cool, honestly. Okay, let me type in the name of it. He looks like he's actually pretty good at it too. Alright, Volkiller Games, 6 viewers doing game dev art. It looks like he's working with some stones right now. Interesting. So, go ahead and head in there and say hi when we get there. Let's get this thing started for now. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more, be sure to follow and turn on notifications / join our Discord and ask for the stream notification role. You're very welcome for the help with the JavaScript, and be sure to show up tomorrow for tomorrow's stream as well. Discord is where you'll want to go. If you don't know where it is, you can always come to my channel and find it if you scroll down or in the documents. So thank you again, guys, and we'll see you later.
See you next time.